So let's get started with our WCF web service. I'm going to add a new project under the web tab. That is going to be an ASP.NET empty web application. I'll call it web services.wcf, and that'll create our project. From here, I'm going to add a WCF service. I'm going to right click, go to add new item. If we scroll all the way near the bottom, there is a WCF service. It shows up as service1.svc. We're going to rename this to pun service. Once we add that, it adds a few things to our project. We'll do a quick review of those. It'll add some references, including system runtime serialization and system service model. But more importantly, it modifies our web configuration. As soon as we create a WCF web service, it automatically inserts the default configuration for SOAP over HTTP-based WCF services. So we'll go over a few of the configuration options here. So you can see here we have a collection of behaviors defined for WCF, specifically one for our web service. As we said before, behaviors define runtime aspects of a WCF service. We have one setting for service metadata. This allows us to send the metadata over HTTP and HTTPS using get verbs. That's the two enabled options that we have there. And in this case, metadata is actually our WSDL web service definition language file. Our second option is to include exception details and faults. We're setting that to false. So if any errors happen in our code on the server, we're not going to send that extra call stack and trace information to the client because we want to extract away as much as possible the server implementation of this service. The last option is the service hosting environment. The service hosting environment setting allows us to configure how the web services will be hosted. Using ASP.NET compatibility enabled set to true, that enables us to integrate with the ASP.NET pipeline in IIS. And multiple site bindings enabled equals true also allows us to associate our web service with multiple site bindings configured within IIS. All of these settings are set up for us by default, but if you do need to tweak any of the settings, you can come in here and add, remove, and modify the settings as you need. The next thing you might notice is the interface. So WCF uses interfaces in order to define the capabilities of each individual service. You'll see here we have an interface for iPun service. It has an interface attribute for service contract. This tells WCF that this interface can be used to serve out data. Underneath that, we have operation contract, and these are the attributes that we associate to individual methods that can be executed within this service, very similar to the web service and the web method attributes that we had in ASMX web services. Finally, we have punservice.svc. If we view the markup for this, you'll notice that it's using a service host directive. The service host factory is specific to WCF and enables all the binding and configuration that we saw in the previous classes. If we look at the code behind, we'll notice this is a simple class that only extends the iPun service interface and has a method definition for the method defined within that interface. All of the WCF specific configuration is now abstracted away to that interface and the web config file.